All right. Hey, John, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So I really appreciate you taking your time to talk to us. I know you're super busy and being a firefighter, an active firefighter. I know you work some crazy schedules. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So you're a firefighter with San Antonio, right?
Yes, I've been almost a 15-year fireman with the city of San Antonio. Before that, I was a civil service fireman and a military Air Force fireman. Together, I believe I have 27 years in the fire service.
Oh, wow. Okay. You mentioned civil service and you mentioned Air Force. Is there a
Yes.
difference there between the different fire departments?
Well, with the military, you're active duty reserve or guard. I happened to be in the active duty portion for 5 years. Got out of the Air Force and joined the civil service at Lackland Air Force Base, their fire department there.
Okay. Is there a difference in firefighting or in what you do?
Uh, no, there's not. There's one's your military, the other one's you're a civilian. We both work on base, but my I don't have a active duty responsibilities. I just have the Air Force base, and I get to come home to my family every night or every other night, and I don't have the deployment responsibilities that active duty do.
Okay. Otherwise, they're basically the same thing. You're military, your civil service, and then now you're civilian
I know I'm a
firefighting.
yes, I'm a
Mhm.
civilian, if you want to call it that, city civilian.
Civilian. Okay. But firefighting
Yes,
is the same basically, or is there
basically
different
it is.
types?
No,
Okay.
no. On base or in the city of San Antonio or any city for that matter, firefighting is the same.
Okay. All right. Just curious because there's a lot of differences there and want to clarify that. Okay, so how did you get into firefighting?
It was something I've always wanted to do when I was younger. I would say probably 12 years old. My grandfather owned a construction company, and we worked on a fire department, San Antonio Fire Department at the airport. We had to do a remodel in that, so it was during the summertime. I was off from school. I would join my father, my grandfather on the job site, and they happened to be airport firemen. But ever since then, I wanted to be. I saw them, and they would catch alerts or catch a call. They'd start the trucks up and they go out. That's something that I thought was pretty cool as a child, and I wanted to do that. At the time, I didn't realize they were Air Force or airport firemen. I just knew they were firemen, um, and that was something I thought was really cool, and I wanted to do it.
Okay, nice.
That
And
that's what
then,
got me started.
all right, how old were you when you started?
I joined the volunteer service when I turned 16. I was able to drive. We have a volunteer department out where I grew up. So I did that to learn, get some idea of what it was, what I wanted it to be. Then after high school, the quickest and fastest way to become a fireman, joining the Air Force. The Air Force needed at the time, I guess, it needed firemen. When I went to the recruiter, I said that's all I wanted to do. She looked it up. She found the job. And 6 months later, I joined the Air Force. That was in January of 1996.
Nice. Okay. So since 96. Awesome. Your rank is firefighter, right?
With the city of San Antonio, yes, I'm a firefighter.
Okay.
I'm also in the reserves, and I'm a assistant chief of health and safety with my reserve unit.
Okay.
And before then, I was a assistant chief of operations. We get to move around in the reserve, so I don't get to get pigeonholed in one spot.
Cool. All right. Awesome. As you know, Fight Kitchen Fires Limited is a vent hood grease removal company, right? We're also in the
Yes.
fire protection field by way of removing grease so that there's no fuel for the fire. In your experience, have you had a lot of issues with like commercial kitchens or restaurants or things like that?
In our area, in the city where I worked, we didn't. We do have those. I have only been on one. As a military fireman and a civil service fireman on Lackland Air Force Base. Uh, at the time I worked there, we didn't have any. But I know their inspection crew and their inspections and what they ask for from as what the base asks for from their restaurants is very strict and very stringent. So it's very hard for them not to get all their inspections every year. Everything they need of them is pretty much done. Um, so I know in the city, it's really hard for the city inspectors to be on top of all the different restaurants there are, and it costs money to do inspections. So a lot of these smaller restaurants that cannot afford it, well, they're going to try to get away with what they can. And we've seen anywhere from fake inspections to no inspections to inspectors. Then you have those that want to get the correct inspection and the correct work done. You got those cleaning crews that, lack of better terms, don't do it. They'll take your money, but they won't do the work or won't do the work properly. I think as far as in that career field yourself, you've seen what other companies have done. I know you've seen their work, and they supposedly paid for it, but nothing's been done. It doesn't look like they've had years of cleaning done whatsoever. So you have that going on. But no, I have not personally made more than one. It was caught in time. We're able to put it out before it did get worse.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, I do hear of these fires catching. At least you'll get at least once a month, I believe. Once every few months, you'll get a fire in a restaurant caused by the vent hoods, the systems.
Yeah. So you mentioned you've been to one. What happened in that one?
I don't exactly remember where the location was. I know it wasn't in my area. When I was floating with when I was my first few years in San Antonio. I was floating departments or floating stations. I didn't have my station yet, where I currently work. And it was a simple. We went in early in the morning. We got the call. We went in. The ceiling inside the attic space, it was burning. We were able to get to it through opening the roof. I think we went underneath. Went into the big vent hood, took those covers off, and we're able to see it. Mm. And from there, shoot water inside and get it out, put it out. So it didn't last very long.
So it was an actual fire in the ductwork for the exhaust system. No way. Yes. Do you guys also investigate origin and cause, or did you just put it out and someone else came in to investigate? Like, how did that start?
The other crew came in and investigated it.
Okay.
Or I think I know we have inspectors, and I know arson came, but I do not remember anything else. I know we just put it out, checked for extension. Mm-hmm. There was no extension, and then we ended up leaving.
Okay. So that was
I believe it was electric fire that started. I think it was the fan, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not totally sure. It's been quite a while.
Yeah. Okay. You said that was when you were a floater, so you were still pretty new in the department before you had your assigned station. Okay. So now in the station that you're at, is it mostly residential? Is it commercial? Is it a nice mix? What does your current area look like?
We have a good mix of everything. Majority is residential. We do have commercial. We have commercial restaurants, fast food restaurants. We have commercial grocery stores. We have the HEB, the Walmarts.
So returning back to the fire that you mentioned, what time of day was that? Were there people inside? Was this a nighttime thing?
It was early in the morning. I'm going to say like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Were there people there already, or it wasn't open yet?
The working staff was there.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because there are reports of certain fires happening, especially in the vent hoods. And because the system is, a vacuum, the fan is pulling out all that hot air. And if there's a fire, the smoke and heat is being drawn out as well. There are skeptics out there that think that a fire cannot happen without someone, especially if someone's in the building, noticing it. How can that happen? Like, some of these reports talk about fires going unnoticed with occupants or patrons, but it doesn't get found until the fire has been, peeking through the roof. How's that possible?
Um, in newer houses, in I mean, I've made newer houses, older houses, all of that, in a very old homes. If the fire's in the attic where there's nobody at, there's no air coming from the attic into the house. It's a sealed. It is you're inside a sealed system, so you're not going to smell that fire or that smoke unless you have a downdraft that pushes that smoke and that heat into the home. So if the fire until the fire burns a hole in your wall or in your ceiling, you're more likely not going to smell it. If you happen to be close to it, where all you have is the ceiling between you and the fire, I'm sure you're going to notice it a lot faster than someone else is going to notice it across the building.
Mhm.
If you're in your bedroom and you're on the opposite side of the house in the living room, um, and there's a fire in the attic, you're not going to know. You're not going to be able to smell it. We get a lot of reports of the people are in their home, they're asleep, they're watching TV, they get a frantic knock at the door, and the neighbor screaming at them that there's a fire at their home. And they had no idea because the fire's already burned through, or there's a lot of smoke coming from the outside, and the neighborhood can see it, but they can't see it or smell it. Um, I think it goes the same thing with the fire in a vent hood system in the ductwork. Everything's getting sucked out. Everything's going out to the atmosphere through the vent. But if it's on fire and it's sucking, pulling it, it's getting oxygen and it's building in that ductwork, but nothing's going down. Everything's going out. So you're going to see it from the outside. You're going to smell it, but nobody's going to know that's inside because they're not getting any of the keynotes of the fire, the heat, the smell, the smoke. Yes, I believe anybody, any home that's a fire's in the attic or in a space that it's not blowing, not giving them air, or there's no ventilation through it. Yeah, you're not gonna know you have a fire until
Mhm.
it's too big, and for the most part, too late.
Yeah. Yeah. A few fires come to mind that are like that. Okay. So, what piece of advice do you have for restaurant owners or commercial eating and drinking establishments on how to prevent fires in their kitchen?
Get your cleanings done every year. Get your service done. I mean, if you're a business that has a lot of fryers, well, I can't tell you to stop frying, and that residue doesn't get pulled in, and you don't build extra residue. But make sure your system is clean. You get inspection every year. You need to get those, and unfortunately, you have to pay for it. So, but that's something yet as a business owner, you have to do. Get it done because eventually it will bite you. And if you skip and you try to lie and inspections and cleanings, well, you're going to pay for it because it's going to build up and all it causes is a little bit of heat, a little spark, and you're going to have a fire.
All right, now, John, we have a history. We know each other, and with what you just said, some people might think that I put you up to say that. Now, are you just saying that because we're making this interview, or do you actually mean that people, it's important for people to get their services done for their vent hood cleaning?
I believe it's very important to get their services done. I'm a fireman. I love making fires, grease fires, vent fires. Those are some of the hardest fires to fight. They're in a quirky location, and those are the hardest fires. That oil, that grease, it's fuel. It's like gasoline and diesel. When it gets going, it's hard to put out. So yes, I really do think that if they want to prevent a fire or a fire in their business, they need to follow the annual cleanings and inspections that they're supposed to do every year. I know, and I'm saying cleanings, but I know for sure it's supposed to be an inspection. If an inspection does not require a cleaning, well, then, as long as they're doing what they're supposed to do and following the rules, they're not going. It's going to be really hard to have a fire or a fire that's going to get out of control. But if someone wants to lose their business, wants to burn their building down. I believe that is one of the best ways to do it, is because they are not following what they're supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. And the crazy part is, um, and of course, I geek out on the NFPAs and the different fire codes. Each jurisdiction has different things that they adopted as law. The crazy thing is that there's different requirements for different restaurants, like barbecue pits or anything that uses wood and charcoal is like every month. If it's high volume operations, it's every 3 months for cleaning or
Okay.
inspection. Um, the same with low volume operations, like every 6 months, and then your annual ones are usually like the low, very low systems like churches or day camps. Um, and you're right. Like when it comes down to all the different requirements, not everyone has time to learn them and know them, especially if you're busy, running a restaurant or tracking down your employee that didn't show up. And then now you have a delivery in the back, and you have customers
Mhm.
in the front. So I think that's definitely important for people to also understand, and you're right, when it comes down to some of these fires that you can't find or you can't see until it's too late, it might actually be too late. All right. Well, do you have anything else? Those are all the questions that I had.
No, that's everything I have.
Well, Assistant Chief, Firefighter, Mr. Jonathan Quintanilla, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure people out there also would find this video helpful. And I hope to see you again.
I hope so. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.